Right, hello folks. Coming back with a book review. Got an email a couple of weeks back saying that the Vickers Machine Gun Collection and Research Association, which is headed by my good mate Dr. Richard Fisher, so he's a doctor now, which is really, really cool, that they were going to produce a book looking at the Bren Gun, which is one of my favourite guns. I don't know, it just sounds a bit weird saying that, but is one of the key guns that was used in the defence of the UK during the Second World War. And yeah, a couple of like a week or two later, it was published and came out, and I got my copy the other week. And yeah, it's a cracking little book. Rich and the team have done such a good job with this. So I've not scripted this as usual, and I've sent Rich some feedback on this. But it's a fantastic little book looking at the Bren gun from 1938 to 1941 in infantry use. And what was really cool about it was within like 3 pages, I'd learned something completely new which I never knew before. So what this book also did as well is show me that some of the stuff that I knew about the Bren was not correct for the period that I specialise in. So 1939 to kind of like 1942, 43. A lot of the manuals I'd used cover 1944, by which time organisation of the Bren gun and the use of the Bren gun had changed quite a bit, which was interesting. So one of the things that I'd said, I think I've said it in previous videos, and it needs correcting for the period 39 to about 43, was that the Bren gun of the infantry section was commanded by the section second in command, so usually a lance corporal. In 39 to 1941, it was under the direct command of the section commander, which I did not know. And this book has been really, really cool in clearing out this early organisation of this period that I specialise in. So as a little kind of synopsis of what this book does is it provides a detailed, but not overly detailed introduction to the Bren gun, its use, its how it was machined, how the infantry section was organised in 1938 to 1941 around the Bren gun. It provides information on how soldiers will be trained to use the Bren gun. It provides information on the rationale behind its use and its adoption and all this stuff, and how it was meant to be used in practice, even going as far as detailing the different kits of the infantry section. So not only is this a good little book for learning about the Bren gun, it's also a really, really good book for understanding the smallest formation of the British Army at the time, which was the infantry section as of 1939. The book is chock full of really good photos. There's good diagrams, both period and reconstruction, so it's showing using reenactors. There are infographics. There's a whole range of information here, and it's, how many pages is it? It's a total of 112 pages with 113 pages for other publications and such. But in that space, it covers so much. This is pretty much the perfect introduction to not only the Bren gun but also the British infantry at the basic level at this for this period. It's an absolutely fantastic piece of book, fantastic book. So, considering when I started out, I had to learn about the Bren gun through period manuals, and there were a range of pamphlets which were available. These were often amended and reissued and adapted and amended over the course of the Second World War, and even over the course of a couple of months or so. So having this book where everything for the period 38 to 41 is covered in one nicely accessible piece of reference material is really, really useful for historians and researchers and members of the public alike. It's absolutely cracking. It's also got some really nice examples of the period weapons themselves in this. But yeah, overall, it's just a really decent little research book. And even if you are well versed in the use of the Bren, there's something in it. You'll learn something from this. It even goes into the logistics behind supplying the Bren gun in the field and all this stuff. It's absolutely cracking. And the manufacturing processes, the factories that produce the gun. Like I say, I know quite a bit about the Bren, and I know Rich has been in touch with me in the past to like have discussions about the Bren, so which has been really quite humbling. But it was really cool to buy this, and I think it was £10 pre-order, and it's I think £12 online. Its regular price pays for itself. It really does. It's a really good price. It really, really does. I think that's extremely reasonable for what you get. Sorry, my eyes itching now. I've had my hair cut earlier, and I've just managed to wipe hair trimmings in my eyes, so that's perfect. Excellent. What else to say? It also covers some additional aspects such as the use of the tripod. As I've said, it's written in such a way as well that it's accessible. It's not overly technical, but it's also not too simple that it diminishes the work itself. I read this probably within about 2 or 3 hours from cover to cover. What I said to Rich, in fact, is the fact that the way it's organised, so using and this is something Rich has done is in other reports and other academic works, which I think is really, really good, is he uses something called the tepid oil system. So he's using a reordered variant of that. But what this does is it breaks the book up into various sections. So you've got equipment, personnel, training, doctrine, information, organisation, logistics, and infrastructure. And the way this works, so this is how, as it states here in the book, this is how the UK Ministry of Defence manages its capabilities and ensures it captures all aspects of a system. It works really well. It's very similar to, so I've found that with the period manuals, I find them extremely easy to read because they're in a set format, they're straight to the point, they don't use overly technical language, and they tend to explain everything really well. And that's what happens with this book. So it's a good reference book in the fact that you can just open up a page. Right, I want to find out about logistics. Okay, I'll go to the logistics section, read that, and that's fine. I'll find the information I want. But also the way it's structured also lends itself really well to a narrative. So you can read it cover to cover like I did, or you can use it as a reference book. It works extremely well in both cases, which I think it's not an easy thing to achieve that with a piece of academic work. It's extremely difficult to do that, to have a book where you can both use it for as a narrative, but also approach it from a narrative perspective, but also as a reference material bit of work where if you just want to find a specific piece of information, you can quickly find that, read it, and that's all you have to do. What else? Yeah, it says about firing on fixed lines, use of the Lensatic sight, personal equipment to the Bren. Yeah, absolutely cracking book. It also goes into ammunition allocation for an infantry section, which is useful to know. Has a lot of detail on the auxiliary pouches, which I've got a pair. I know they're hidden away under all that bump up there, but yeah, the auxiliary pouches are something that get overlooked. And when I one of the reasons why I started collecting the Bren Gun stuff was years ago I picked up a pair of the auxiliary pouches thinking they were 37 pattern universal pouches, and then when they turned up they had this like weird loop on them, and I was like, well, I don't know what the hell these things are. I'll stick them in a cupboard, and then realise what they were, and then bought the rest of the Bren kit to go with them. But these auxiliary pouches are really quite useful in the way that they're quite an important part of the section in terms of the Bren gun, that these pouches were carried and then used to gather ammunition to distribute it to the Bren, which was the primary means of fire production, so producing effective fires by the infantry section. But yeah, you cannot go wrong with this book. Absolutely fantastic. Yeah, I've had provided some feedback to Rich, and he's going to also update in the future, all been well, the other book, the Vickers machine gun book, which I need to get a copy of. But yeah, if you've got an interest in history in the British Army, in particular infantry, get this book. Oh, it's got field signals in here, which is something I'd never seen. I don't think I have the relevant manuals for that, or I've seen them and just not been too interested. But yeah, it puts that into context. It also puts into context the Bren / Universal Carrier Platoon and how that fits in. And again, that's something I've not really looked at myself, but now I've got a really good idea of how that all worked, thanks to this book. Yeah. So if you're interested in the Bren, if you're a historian, member of the public, whatever, pick up a copy of this. It's absolutely fantastic. It'll save you a lot of time in terms of getting the manuals, so because you have to trawl every bit of information in there. It outlines everything concisely. It covers so much within like I say, within 112 pages. It just covers a vast amount of stuff, but it's easy to read, well written. Yeah, cannot fault this at all. It's well worth the money, and I recommend checking it out. I think you can buy it via the Vickers Machine Gun Collection Research Association website. I'll put a link in the description below. I also recommend checking out their other publications as well, because I need to do that now. Also, again, to mention as well, I lost my train of thought now. Patreon. Rich and the team are very active on Patreon. I've been a member of their Patreon or Patreon for many, many years now, and I think I pay something like £2 a month, and yeah, that it's absolutely cracking. You get access to a vast amount of manuals and other information related to the Vickers and the Bren and a whole range of other stuff. It's a massively accessible resource, and for the money you pay for it, it's absolutely fantastic. So please do check that out as well. So yeah, this gets a recommendation from me. It's a cracking little book, and I wish I had this when I was starting out. In fact, on that note as well, Rich over the years has been massively supportive of my work. If it wasn't for Rich publishing a lot of the manuals and pamphlets online in the early to mid 2000s, then I'd have unlikely got the head start that I did, because the only other option would have been to buy the original stuff, which I didn't have the money for. So yeah, it's amazing to see the work that Rich and the team have put into the Vickers Machine Gun Collection and Research Association, and seeing it grow from, you know, a website of information all the way through to this unique collection in the UK of both live firing and deactivated weapons, but also a hub of historical information and a vital resource for anyone who studies the military in the 20th century, in the period when the Vickers and the Bren were in use. So yeah, please do check the website out. I'll put all the links in the thing below. Get yourself a copy of this. You can't go wrong at all. So it's the MG Study Series, the Bren Gun in Northwest Europe, and that's home. There are going to be, all been well, again, there should be follow-ups to this as well, covering different aspects and different periods of the Bren Gun. But yeah, cannot fault this at all. And also the reenactment group that they've worked with, which is, I think it's the Spirit of Britain. Their portrayal is absolutely fantastic too. The detail they've got in their portrayal of the British Army in this period 38 to 41 is top notch. It's really good. But yeah, cracking book. Please do get it, and consider supporting the VMG CRA on Patreon as well. Patreon, it's well worth the money, and yeah, you can't go wrong with this. Well done, Rich and the team. Absolutely fantastic stuff. Right, catch you later. Bye.